दोस्तों कभी लाइफ में हमारे को बहुत रैपिड डिसीजंस लेने पड़ते हैं. वी आर स्टक इन सर्टेन सर्कमस्टांसेस, रोड पर हैं, किसी से बात कर रहे हैं, ऑल ऑफ अ सडन वी नीड टू टेक सम फाइनेंशियल डिसीजन. एंड उस समय नॉट नेसेसरीली दैट यू मे हैव एक्सेस टू बेस्ट ऑफ योर रिसोर्सेज और your financial advisors to help you. And in such circumstances के लिए there are certain rule of thumbs which are actually my favorites. And in this video we are going to talk about a couple of rule of thumbs which may help you in such moments. Practical, they help in quick decision making and perhaps helps in avoiding risky decisions as well. So let's start with the rule number 1 which I have in mind. Rule of 72 बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग है. ये एक क्विक मेंटल कैलकुलेशन का है where it tells you कि आपका पैसा कितने साल में डबल हो जाएगा if it is invested at a particular interest rate. So let's do this right now. ठीक है, I'll give an example and I would want you to write it down in the notes below or comments below. What do you think? So अगर आपका पैसा 15% रिटर्न दे रहा है जिस जगह आप इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं, कितने साल में डबल हो जाएगा? सोचिए प्लीज पुट द कमेंट्स बिलो. और how about you apply a rule of thumb and you divide 72 by your expected return. So in this case 72 को divide करेंगे अपन 15 से, you will get an outcome of 4.8 years. So it means in 4.8 years the money will double. Let's take another example, if you don't mind putting down the comments again. If your money is going to earn you, if your investment is going to earn you 10%, how many years will it take to double? 72 divided by 10, answer is 7.2 years, right? Simple. इसके और छोटे छोटे दो ब्रांचेस हैं इसी रूल के. 72 से डिवाइड करते हैं रिटर्न से तो अपने को मिलता है डबल कितने साल में होगा. हाउ अबाउट ट्रिपलिंग? सो उसके लिए 114 से एक्सपेक्टेड रिटर्न को डिवाइड कीजिए एंड द आंसर विल बी द नंबर ऑफ इयर्स इट विल ट्रिपल इन. एग्जांपल, लेट्स टेक एन एग्जांपल. सेम 15%, 114 divide by 15% is 7.6, which means 7.6 years में आपका पैसा डबल होगा. On the other hand, 114 divide by 10% is 11.4, मतलब roughly 11 and a half years में आपका पैसा ट्रिपल होगा. एक और नेक्स्ट स्टेप, कितने साल में 4 गुना होगा? Quadrupling of your returns. Instead of 114, now use 144. So 144, again the same example, divide by 15 is 9.6 years. तो अप्रॉक्स 9.5 साल में आपका पैसा 4 गुना हो जाएगा. एंड 10% पे 114 डिवाइड बाय 10, roughly 14 and a half years में आपका पैसा 4 times हो जाएगा, राइट? अपने दिमाग में रखिएगा, 72 is for double, 114 is for 3 times and 144 is for 4 times. The next rule of 70 for inflation. Inflation is the most disastrous component in personal finance, the silent killer I would say. इतना जबरदस्त है कि मैं लोगों को बोलता हूँ अगर शॉर्ट पैसे को डुबाना है तो उसको आप एफडी करा लीजिए या फिर कैश को बैंक में रख लीजिए. शॉर्ट डेथ हो रही है उस पैसे की बिकॉज ऑफ इन्फ्लेशन. टू अंडरस्टैंड द इम्पैक्ट ऑफ इन्फ्लेशन, रूल ऑफ 70 हेल्प्स. सो व्हाट इट सेज इज 70 को डिवाइड कीजिए आपके एक्सपेक्टेड इन्फ्लेशन रेट से एंड दैट विल टेल यू एन आंसर कि कितने साल में आपके पैसे की वैल्यू आधी हो जाएगी, राइट? एग्जाम्पल, अगर आप किसी चीज को 100 रुपए का आज खरीदते हैं तो इसके आउटकम के बाद ये बताएगा कि उतना ही क्वांटिटी डबल प्राइस में मिलेगा या उतने ही प्राइस में आधी क्वांटिटी मिलेगी उतने नंबर ऑफ इयर्स में. लेट्स टेक एन एग्जांपल and I would want you to please write it again in the comments below. Let's assume that the inflation rate is 3% inflation. कितने साल में आपके मनी की वैल्यू आधी हो जाएगी इन्फ्लेशन के चक्कर में? 70 को 3 से डिवाइड कीजिए, द आंसर वुड बी नोट डाउन 23 years. 23 years में at 3% इन्फ्लेशन में आपकी मनी की वैल्यू आधी हो जाएगी. Let's take more realistic in the economies where we live in. How about 8% inflation? 70 divided by 8, roughly 8.75, approx 9 years में अपने पैसे की वैल्यू आधी हो जाएगी. That's rule of 70 for inflation. Another layman rule is for asset allocation. Now, if you have access to a financial advisor who can help in planning your allocations, fine. But if you are one of them that you want to perhaps you don't have access to one or you want to do it yourself, in that case ये वाला rule of thumb help कर सकता है. It says 100 minus age is your allocation which you should keep in equities. So example, if a person is 35 years old, 100 minus 35 will be 65, which means 65% they can keep in equities, remaining they can keep in other assets. तो इसका दूसरा एक और एग्जाम्पल, थोड़ी सी लाइफ को आगे बढ़ा देते हैं. let's say someone is 70 years old, 100 minus 70 would say 30 को equity में रखिए, बाकी को आप other assets में रख सकते हैं. So what it tends to do is जैसे जैसे एज बढ़ती जाएगी आपकी रिस्क टेकिंग एबिलिटी कम हो जाएगी, तो it is will actually say कि कितना इक्विटी में कम करते चले जाएंगे. That's what it is. But again, if you're working with a financial advisor, he might be able to identify a better and more accurate allocation. But in an absence of that, this at least helps in kind of managing your risk as you grow. Let's take another rule of thumb, emergency fund rule. Okay? Now, emergency funds are one of the most critical part of personal finance. I would recommend that you watch my dedicated video on emergency funds in the link below. Now, in a normal situation, you could take a rule of thumb that 6 months worth of your living expenses you should keep in emergency funds. Very simple, 6 months. Okay, it could be 10, it could be 2, case by case different रहता है, but rule of thumb 6 is good enough to start with. More details you can find it in a video below, ठीक है, which is on emergency funds. The other one is for life insurances. कितना life insurance लेना चाहिए? While with our clients we have got more sophisticated tool to identify relatively more accurate number, but in absence of that, a rule of thumb says 20 times of your income might be a good start to cover yourself for insurances. Example, let's say if your income is 10 lakhs per year into 20, 2 crore का cover ले सकते हैं. Tell me one thing, how much insurance do you have and does it meet the 20 times rule for you? Just say yes or no in the comments below. It will help in assessing that how the world actually is insured. Next one, my favorite, 30-day impulse purchase rule. You know, you go into a shopping mall, कुछ दिखता है, अरे वहाँ ले लेते हैं. लगता है कि अरे Amazon पे ब्राउज करते जा रहे हैं और देखते हैं अरे ये बड़ा अच्छा आइटम है, इसको खरीद लेते हैं. Impulse shopping, it's becoming so easy. If you want to apply this one, perhaps a lot of those items which are appearing in your wardrobe or in your toy cupboard might not be there. They were impulsive in nature if you look back. So what you should try doing this one, try if it works for you. If you find something and it is giving you itch, खरीदना है, 30 day रुकना है. 30 दिन के बाद अगर फिर भी लगता है that you need to buy, go for it. But you would see in many cases 30 दिन के बाद आप भूल चुके होंगे, which means you protected yourself from unnecessary wasteful expense, right? These rules help, but you need to appreciate one thing, that these are rule of thumbs. Rule of thumbs are never accurate. They are but a good start. They are good ones for making some decisions if you are on the fly. But each personal finance cannot fit everyone. The same decision does not fit everyone. Everyone is different. उनकी goals अलग हैं, उनकी risk appetite अलग है, उनके asset bases अलग हैं, जिस background से वो आ रहे हैं वो अलग-अलग है. So when we work with our clients, we are very, very appreciative of that background. We do not apply rules of thumbs in those cases. These are kind of customization to the particular person's need. So when you're applying rule of thumbs, you have to be careful. Do not just blanketly apply in all cases. If you have access to a financial advisor or professional, please work with them to more refine it for yourself. But they help in taking very quick decisions if you need to do that, right? How do you feel about this video? Please do leave your comments. If you know any other rule of thumbs, please also do put it there. We all would love to learn about such cases. Thank you.